Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am super excited for this video because it hits super close to home for me and what I've been going through for my entire life, but especially this past year. And today I just wanted to share 6 things that have made me a less anxious person and things that have helped me get through a really dark time in my life when anxiety was taking over my life. I guess the point of this video is to just share what I have been through and hope that it sticks for you and you guys can take away a few of these things. If you're going through this anxiety that's unknown and you've never dealt with it before, I feel like these tips will be really helpful for you. So yeah, let's get into tip number 1. Okay, so tip number 1 for me was like my first step in my healing journey, and that is going to see a therapist. And that was a really hard decision for me to make because I was really anxious to go see a therapist and I didn't really want to talk about my emotions with a random person. As normalized as therapy is today, it still felt very weird for me because I've never done anything like that or like wanted to do anything like that. I also understand that therapy comes with a price tag, but I will say there are a lot of cheaper options nowadays, especially if you go online and you can do therapy sessions over Zoom call. I am super grateful and blessed that therapy was the first step that I was able to take, but there are a lot of cheaper options out there, and I really do think that it can make a huge difference in being that first stepping stone to your healing journey. So I decided to go to therapy because anything big or small, even leaving the house, like anxiety was really starting to take over my life, and there was nothing else that I could do for myself. I really needed somebody to hold my hand and kind of get me started on my healing journey, and that's why I think therapy is super important. I also really enjoyed therapy because I am somebody who has a really hard time talking about things, and therapy kind of forced years and years of me not talking about things, and all of these things that I stuffed way deep down were kind of coming to surface, and I could learn that it's okay to talk about your emotions and it's okay to have emotions and to communicate and express those to others, and that it would make you feel a lot better. I feel like therapy for me also helped me relearn how to process my scary thoughts that I was having. And in that process, my therapist could kind of hold my hand and take me through, okay, what does this emotion mean? And what does this mean? And you brought this up. And they are really good at looking for patterns in what you talk about. And I feel like that was really helpful for me to kind of identify the root cause or root causes of where my anxiety was stemming from. Okay, so I feel like this second tip is kind of a given, but I am going to repeat it until you all get sick of it. But having movement throughout your day and consistently every day, getting a little bit of movement in has helped me in so many ways, not just with my anxiety, my overall mental health and physical health. And there's so many benefits outside of the anxiety portion that I just always like to recommend getting your movement in. And trust me when I say that I have been through a lot of gym slumps or exercise slumps, if you will, when I was in the midst of my deepest and darkest anxiety. Movement was the hardest thing for me to prioritize during those times. And I just kept putting it off because I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to leave the house. And then I had an excuse for not doing home workouts. And I just kept adding more and more onto my plate, so I would become so busy that I didn't have to prioritize the movement portion. Even though I know how important that was, it was like I was self-sabotaging, and I knew that these things would make me feel better, but I couldn't make myself do them. So my tip for getting your daily movement in when it does become very difficult is try to do the easiest thing that you want to do and that you love to do. So what I mean by that is I would always try to think of working out as I have to go to the gym, I have to go for an hour, and I have to do the hardest workout ever. And that is just not what I needed at the time. I just needed to get over the hump of getting back into movement. So what did I do? I prioritized home workouts. I did the workouts that I wanted to do, and some things that I started with are some slower movements like yoga and Pilates, instead of prioritizing weights and HIIT and getting my heart rate really pumped up, because that's something that I wasn't looking forward to doing. So why did I keep pushing myself in the direction of things I didn't want to do? And prioritizing yoga and slow movement really helped me to appreciate movement way more. Lastly, I think that people often undermine how important movement is for other things, and boosting your confidence and helping you stay calm throughout the day and keeping your heart rate low, and also instilling a trust in yourself because you told yourself you were gonna work out today, or you told yourself you were gonna get up in the morning and you did that. That just makes you trust yourself that much more, which is super important when you are going through something difficult. Okay, so the third tip is my favorite, but also was the most challenging for me, and that is taking time to be alone with your thoughts. And no, I don't mean being alone from everyone and being on your phone or sitting on the couch and watching a show and being alone with your thoughts. That's not being alone with your thoughts. And my therapist really helped me realize that no matter what I was doing, there was always noise on, because I never wanted to be alone with my thoughts and never wanted to process anything that was happening from within. So no matter what I was doing, from getting ready in the morning to car rides to walking the dog to doing the dishes, I would always have a podcast on, music on, YouTube video, Netflix. Like, I never just sat alone with myself and thought my thoughts, because it's definitely a scary place to be, but once you get used to being in that place, it's a lot less scary. So one of the things my therapist challenged me to do from the very beginning was to put all of my electronics away in a completely different room. I would shut myself in my bedroom, completely alone, no distractions, journal, and a pen. I would sit there for an hour in complete stillness and silence. If I felt like I wanted to journal, I would. If I felt like laying there and staring at the ceiling, I would. But it was super difficult for those first couple of weeks, and I challenged myself to do it 1 hour once a week, which really isn't that much time. And I actually grew to like this time a lot, because I would journal and journal and journal for an hour straight, all of these thoughts and emotions that were coming out of me, and I could learn how to process them and that they were okay, and I could finally hear what I was thinking and what emotions I was feeling instead of what everyone else was doing, and scrolling through social media and just blocking all of those emotions out. I also think that this helped me to understand what I was feeling and why I was feeling it, and I could take my journal and thoughts to my therapy session, and we could get so much farther faster because of the work that I was putting in outside of my therapy sessions. And I would have this mind dump of an hour of journaling, and I could bring it to my therapist and we could talk about how to work through them and why I was thinking the things that I was thinking. And overall, it was just super helpful. So I definitely challenge you to spend more time in silence and being away from your phone, whether that be your car ride to work. If that's the only time that you can fit in your day of silence, try to challenge yourself and not turn music on or a podcast or anything, and just sit completely still in silence with your thoughts. Okay, so the fourth tip is a little bit similar to the third tip, but cutting out social media or getting off of your social media. I realized that my constant scrolling and constant habit of reaching for my phone, whether I knew it or not, was actually amplifying my anxiety more than I knew. And it was more of a subconscious thing, but it created these unnecessary pressures and comparisons that were happening in my brain, whether I really knew it or not. So I think setting some boundaries and knowing when to take breaks from your phone is super important, because I was way more addicted to this thing than I ever thought. Like, the fact that it's literally sitting right next to me is already a bad enough habit. I think something that really helped me was I would have time blocks where I wouldn't be on my phone, and I would have either focus work or time for myself, like journaling, and my phone would be in another room or completely turned off. Another thing that really helped me was setting a intention before I would go on my phone. So obviously I'm trying to grow this YouTube, and I also want to start posting on other platforms. And in order to do that, you kind of have to know what's trending and what's happening in one way or another, because when you work in social media, it's kind of your job. So with that, I would set a intention. Okay, I am going to scroll through TikTok to find a sound to use over this video, and I have 10 minutes to do that. And then after that, the phone goes away. You really have to treat yourself kind of like a child in some ways, and really talk to yourself and let yourself know that you are setting that boundary and there's an intention that you're going on your phone with. And that really helped me a lot. Another thing that really helped me, if you're not ready to give up the social media and setting boundaries and taking breaks, was curating my content and feed to exactly what I wanted. So I actually went through and I unfollowed, I think, around like 600 people. That is 600 people whose feed was just constantly popping up into my feed and my For You page and stuff, and all these posts that I didn't really care for and people who didn't really align with me anymore. And I think it's super important to curate your little space on the internet for how you want it. Now most of my stuff is health and wellness and healthy living and positivity and affirmations, and I follow the people closest to me. But anything outside of that, I decided to unfollow. Okay, tip number 5 is one of my favorites. It is finding time to do things that you love and that fill your cup up. So when I hit rock bottom, I really stopped prioritizing anything that was making me happy. And even before that, for like a year, I was working full-time, going to school full-time, and trying to do things outside of that to build for myself, but there was no time left for me and the things that I enjoyed. I really do think it's important. Yes, you can put your head down and grind and push, and you should definitely have goals, but I also think it's really important to set aside time for things that make you happy without feeling guilty. And that was a huge thing for me. No matter what I did, I felt guilty because I thought my time could be of better use elsewhere. I should be studying more. I should be finishing more work. I should be doing this for myself. At the end of the day, like, the time that you give yourself to do the things that you love, if you're feeling guilty the whole time, it's not having that same effect. So a few things that I love and I love to do now and I leave time for is reading a good book on the couch, going hiking, hanging out with friends and family, being outside, cooking something new, baking something new. I've been baking sourdough consistently 1 time a week. It's my favorite thing in the world. I have been cooking like crazy. It's a new passion of mine, and I wouldn't have found that out if I didn't put time into things outside of my little focus bubble. Honestly, as simple as it is, I sometimes like to just rot on the couch, and before I would never give myself permission to just sit in peace on the couch, but now I know when I feel like I need that time, I give myself that time guilt-free. Okay, so my 6th tip is focusing on nutrition and holistic healing. And I have always been into health and wellness, but over this past year I have really learned a lot more about it, and that you don't need to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars to heal yourself. It actually comes from the very foundational things in life, and my healing journey was a lot of these basic, free, foundational things. So what I used to search for in health and wellness was red light therapy mask, a hefty skincare routine, sauna, juicing, like all of the expensive things that are maybe necessary in where you are in your health and wellness journey. And I am not knocking those things at all. They definitely have their place, but I think it is super important to just focus on the foundations of human needs. Foundations to me have really been focusing on nutrition, and I think that is a basic human need. Obviously, we all need to eat and we all need to drink water, and focusing on what I was putting into my body really helped my mental health, my physical health. Like, it's crazy, and there are so many articles on it, and I don't even know all of the science and facts behind it. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist or anything, but I have been reading a few books, which I actually can put on the screen, just about a whole foods diet and what processed foods, bad oils, sugar, alcohol, all of these things can do to your brain and your body, and all of that connects to how we feel. And I have just fallen in love with understanding that certain foods are medicine, and you can eat certain things instead of supplementing for them and feel the same. Okay, so if you are a beginner and you don't really know a whole lot about nutrition, but you want to start cutting out processed food and switching toward a whole foods diet, I would say to start small. It's not an all or nothing type of thing. You can switch out one meal a day that you feel confident about. Breakfast is super easy for me, and it was super easy to switch out for me. I used to eat cereal or pancakes. I was able to switch my breakfast out with 3 eggs, 2 sausages, fresh sourdough bread, and avocado. That is high protein. You're hitting all of your basic like necessities for the day of protein, carbs, fats, veggies and fruits, and what's the other one? Anyway, that is just a easy swap, and I think breakfast is a easy place to start. Remember, you don't have to just eat salads. Like, I don't just eat salads. I actually almost never eat salads because I don't really like salads and I don't really like soup either. So I find recipes that use whole foods and prioritize whole foods and will make those instead. Okay, sorry if the camera angle changed a little bit. My camera just overheated and I had to go put it by the fan. Anyway, last but not least is learning to slow down and understand the life that I wanted for myself and not what other people wanted my life to look like, or what I was looking at other people's and I wish that it was my life, what I actually wanted for my life. Now, this came with a lot of deep work and some very hard questions that I had to ask myself, because I feel like oftentimes we get so used to taking in everyone else's opinions on what they want our life to look like, and they become our opinions and we think that it's what we want our life to look like. And it's kind of hard to differentiate the two and separate from the two if you don't do the deep work and you don't have confidence in who you are and who you want to be. So I feel like sitting down and asking yourself what you want from this life without the money and without thinking about other people's opinions. And obviously it doesn't have to be one thing. Our life is not a one path fits all type of thing, and I feel like that's what I've really come to learn also. Like, I thought I was gonna be working in real estate. I worked in real estate for 3 years. Now I want nothing to do with real estate. I probably will never work in real estate again, and I want something so completely different from that life for the rest of my life. So I think asking yourself some questions and taking time to journal and figure out what you want from this life minus the money, fame, and success part. I think for a lot of my life, I thought I needed to be on the grind 24/7, and it's totally great to have huge goals and dreams and aspirations for yourself. I still do, but oftentimes I was running myself into the ground and also was running myself in a completely wrong direction of what I actually wanted, because I thought that this thing would bring me money and success. And that was a huge pinpoint of my anxiety, was constantly doing what I thought others thought I should do instead of doing what I really want to do. I also learned how to slow down a little bit more in life and be more present. I actually read, which is one of my favorite books, it's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I forget who it's by, but basically this whole book, he talks about how we are constantly in a hurry to get from point A to point B, and we never really slow down and enjoy the journey of our life, but the journey of our day-to-day. And that's what I was caught in. I was caught in this cycle of constantly in a hurry and trying to get there faster than everyone and try to be successful and make more money and do this and do that. And I wasn't actually like enjoying the process of it because I wasn't passionate about it, and I wasn't taking time to slow down and look around and be like, wow, this is where myself 2 years ago would be so proud of myself now. And I think that is really important to note, because I am very proud of myself, but a year or two ago I had put this pressure on myself that I wasn't at my end goal yet and I wasn't there, and all this pressure was creating this anxiety that was so unnecessary. So that was my 7 tips to help cope and lessen my anxiety, and I hope that you can take at least one of those tips away. I think they're really great tips because they came from my journey of healing, and those are things that really helped me, so I hope that they can help you guys too. Finding ways to cope with anxiety and really understand what really matters in this life to me has been super life-changing. I wish that more people would talk about their struggles because this level of transparency can really help a whole community of people, and I hope that this video can be that for you. And I think realizing that it is a lot more normal than you think can be super helpful in healing and feeling less alone in your healing journey. Remember, healing is not a destination, it is a journey, and every single day when you put one foot forward, you are making progress on your healing journey. And I am so proud of you for taking steps to better yourself, and I'm rooting for you on your healing journey. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.